So this is not the cutest that I've ever looked in my life. But this is where I'm starting my video. Dogs. So it's approximately 80 kajillion degrees in Southern California right now. If you live somewhere where it's hotter, you will argue with that statement, and you know what, that's fair. Today, for instance, I'm wearing a romper. I think it's pretty cute. It's a very summer appropriate thing to wear when it's a kajillion degrees out. It exposes more of the body than, say, a t-shirt and jeans would, which is to be expected. I've been seeing a chiropractor for 2-3 months now, but this is the first time that I've been wearing something like this. So it's the first time that he was aware of the fact, or made aware of the fact, that I wear salon paws. Now, if you don't know, salon paws are these sort of pain patches that you can find at any grocery store, or a lot of grocery stores, or places where they have pharmacies. They are not prescribed. They just have like menthol and eucalyptus to help numb pain and aches and everyday sort of nuisances. They're kind of, I would assume, marketed to people older than 30 years old. Probably not marketed to people with scoliosis, but that's what we're working with. And I'll give you a general gist of what that looks like today. Normally I wear the little patches. I couldn't find them at Costco the last few times I've gone, so I ended up with these giant gel patches. Let's see what we're working with. Let's see. Yep. They're not exactly subtle on a hot day like today. If I was wearing a t-shirt, you'd be none the wiser. My chiropractor saw it and immediately was like, "What's that? Are those like those salon paws?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "The boys must love those." And I'm like, and my mom, who takes me to the chiropractor kindly most weeks, was like, "Oh yeah, they can autograph them." So like, boo 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 boo, oh yeah, whoa. At the same time, he kept making comments like that, and I was talking to a friend after the appointment. I was like, on my hierarchy of needs, not feeling in pain is base level. It's like baseline. Looking attractive to potential partners is definitely on there, but not feeling in pain, you know, it's a level that it's not equivocal, you know. So that's just me though. Dating should not be more painful than it already is. I guess we can start from the beginning, because I'm told that's the best place to start. When I was around 5 years old, I was getting into the tub. My mom had run me a bath, and as I was stepping in, my mom saw the curves and bumps of my spine shaping in a direction that is not normal. You could see the bumps going in a S shape, and she was like, "Oh no." And she went to get my dad, and they looked and they were like, okay. They did not make a big deal about it to me. They were very good about that. When they were worried about things, they didn't stress me out over them, which is good, because I had plenty imagined or real things to stress out about, even from such a young age. Instead, that was probably around the same time I went to see my first back doctor. And pretty soon I was diagnosed with scoliosis. Scoliosis really just means the curvature of the spine. Like, let me read you some literature my mother was given on the subject, and help you maybe kind of understand a little bit about what we were working with back in the 90s and early 2000s. What is scoliosis? Scoliosis means a twisting or curving of the spine to the right or left. Although you may never have heard of it, it is not rare and is in fact one of the most common problems of the spine in children. Cases of scoliosis range from very mild to severe. There are many different causes of scoliosis, which can include being born with improperly formed vertebrae, having a muscle weakness or paralysis, or suffering a severe injury. However, in the majority of cases, about 80%, the cause is unknown. These cases of scoliosis have been referred to as idiopathic, which is simply a fancy term for I don't know. Newer evidence indicates that there is a tendency for scoliosis to run in families, and therefore the term genetic is replacing idiopathic for those cases with a family history. Because of this family tendency, there is an increased chance that other members of your family may already have or will develop scoliosis, so your doctor should examine their backs too. What we do know about either genetic or idiopathic scoliosis is that it is not a disease in the sense you may be thinking. You don't catch it, and it does not develop as a result of anything you or your parents did or failed to do. Active research programs are attempting to explain why the spine develops a curve when it had essentially been normal before. The causes may be in the bones themselves, or in the surrounding muscles, ligaments, or tendons. Active research programs are attempting to explain why the spine develops a curve when it had essentially been normal before. The causes may be in the bones themselves, or in the surrounding muscles, ligaments, or tendons. However, at present, no one knows. One important thing that is known is that since scoliosis occurs during the growth period, it can progress and the curve can become larger as the child grows. This fact has a very important effect on the approach to treatment. Yeah, so basically, if you catch it early enough, there are certain things you can do. Mine was caught pretty dang early, all things considered. Treatment choices for scoliosis generally fall into 3 categories: observation, bracing, or surgery. No 2 cases are ever exactly alike, and your doctor must carefully analyze your individual cases before he can decide which treatment or treatments are best for you. His decision will depend on many factors, such as the cause of the curvature, the degree and location of the curve as determined by x-rays and examination, and how much growth is left in your spine. Your doctor has decided that a brace is necessary to prevent the curvature in your spine from progressing. The type of brace depends on the location of the curve. The one chosen for you is the Charleston back brace. There are special instructions for this brace which will be given to you. So from the beginning, I was meeting with different back doctors, being seen and examined and x-rayed and looked at, and the curvatures were charted and discussed, and basically they determined at one point that a back brace was going to be necessary in order to prevent the curvature from getting worse, which is pretty normal, or has been when I was going through it. And my mom is from Virginia. This is going to make sense in a second. My mom, an East Coast lady who came to the West with her husband after they met abroad, was beginning to kind of get a feel, a vibe for the LA OC culture that she had come into, and her general feeling was that an Orange County LA baby is not going to wear an all-day back brace, even if it's good for them. I do feel the need to mention that I was homeschooled, so to a degree, or several degrees if you know anything about scoliosis, I'm not sure would have made a difference because I was homeschooled from 4th grade onward, and when we were talking about back braces and such, I was not going to public school, but I get her point. Like, I see her point. She was like, there's no way a kid is going to sit in a brace all day and feel comfortable. So with all peer pressure and just, the stuff that kids go through. Part of why I was pulled out to be homeschooled was because, my mom wanted to avoid some of that stuff, especially as like the curvature of my spine was becoming more obvious. In the end, she talked to our current back doctor at the time, and they ended up agreeing that a Charleston back brace, a night brace, was going to make the most sense for our family. So what did that look like? That looked like me going to the back doctor on a certain day, seeing a technician that I'd never seen before, going into kind of like an MRI machine, like getting my whole body scanned, and kind of just laying there while I'm getting scanned, and they're like getting all my proportions and figuring stuff out, on top of having all this plaster put on me at an angle, and then I had to lay there while it dried and hardened like a rock, and then they cut it off me, and then we're able to say, okay, this is what her back looks like, and then use the degrees to try to reverse the process in the brace. And I got to choose between white, baby blue, and baby pink. I chose baby pink, and then I got to pick it up eventually and started wearing it every night. I would tighten it with a strap, 3 straps, like the Velcro, like the song of the 90s, like just, and that's me. I'm like, good for the night, like, here I go. And that became my routine, and I began to become uncomfortable when I wasn't wearing it, because I'm just so used to wearing it at night. And my anxious little brain would be like, now if anyone breaks in and tries to stab me from here to here, like this chest area, I will be safe. This document is telling me what to do if I were to be wearing a full-time brace, and it was saying, once you receive the brace, you will start your adjustment period. It may take up to 3 weeks to be comfortable in the brace full-time, 23 hours per day. And any excessive discomfort or skin problems, please call the orthotist. And it gives you all these instructions on how to get used to wearing a brace every day, and even how to take care of your skin, assuming you're going to start getting rashes and being uncomfortable, and learning how to exercise with braces on, and that you take off the brace for swimming only when you're See, like, I did not have to go through this shit. If you did, I apologize. Like, I'm sorry that you did. I hope it worked for you, though. Like, let me know if this prevented you from having to have surgery, because we're getting to that pretty soon. Also, look at me sitting like I have scoliosis right now. When I do this, look at that. Now, if you are unfamiliar with scoliosis, or people who have extreme cases of scoliosis, because a lot of people, girls especially, have like a minor case of scoliosis, and then maybe it does actually, irritate or bother them, and they might need to see a chiropractor at some point when they're older. But I had extreme scoliosis. Like, my case was not... When I told my current chiropractor the degree in which my spine was, like, at its worst, like, what it looked like, he was like he had never heard of it, a case being that severe. He had looked at the x-ray and was like, whoa. So, like, just to give you a feel. And part of that was that I looked like this. Yeah. Was it this way? No, yeah, it was like this. My shoulders were like this. Another part of my daily routine, or just being at home, that I didn't know was abnormal, or that it was even a thing until my mom told me about it later, was we didn't have full-length mirrors at my height. Very fairy tale that, like, I had no concept of how, like, off my body was. So my back just looked like this, and I had no idea. I was just a confident, shy kid, because I didn't know that this is what we were dealing with. Like, it was obvious, is what I'm trying to say. But I did not know. Back to the thing. It says, You'll have to make some adjustments, such as taking a little longer to dress in the morning because of the skincare and exercises, but other than that, life should go on along much the same as usual. Homework, socializing, sports, and even housework. No contact sports or overhead weightlifting them up. And it says, this brace is really a very important part of you now. This brace can make the difference in whether or not This brace can make the difference in whether you will have an operation or not. This brace will be a part of you until your bones indicate that you've stopped growing. The way the doctor can determine this is by taking an x-ray of your left wrist. This will tell him exactly how old your bones are and how much more growing you will do. Even though you may be 15 in number, your bone age may be 13. You may feel awkward and scared about what people may think or say. But like anything new, people are curious. I think it would be very important to you and easier to accept the brace if you and your family talk about the brace, understand the use of the brace, and prepare your school and your classmates as to why you are wearing the brace. And then they have a bunch of stuff talking about how you can reach out to your physical therapist or your doctor or your surgeon to speak about any of these things. There are two stories combined at the end. One is called Scoliosis, a Mother's Story, and the other is called Scoliosis, a Patient's Story. And they're basically the perspective of a mother and daughter and their journey of dealing with scoliosis, and Jackie, the daughter, having to wear the 23-hour brace. And, you know, the mother's fear for her daughter about what scoliosis could do to her, and will she have a normal life, and all of that, and the daughter going through normal preteen and teenager feelings of not wanting to stand out and be awkward and wondering if guys will like her and if she'll be able to do all the stuff that teens and kids get to do. And while that wasn't fully my experience, I'm aware that some of it was. Like, my mom did a very good job, like I was saying earlier, of hiding that she was really anxious for me about my back, and my parents were both worried, but I had no idea. I was able to just mostly have a very normal, homeschooled childhood. I was just an awkward kid who would confidently bring her back brace to Girl Scout trips and camping and the few, sleepovers. People might gawk at it initially, and I would just be like, oh yeah, and like, oh yeah, boom, 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 just settling in for the night. Oh, I have scoliosis. And then I turned 12. And then one day, in the middle of what was going to be a regular checkup, a regular appointment, like at this point, I was so used to it. I'd go in, get weighed, have my height checked, go behind, get x-rayed, boop, boop, put on this thing, like, so that I'm not getting cancer from all the x-rays. They go in the back, they do the thing, you get out. Then you sit down in the uncomfortable hospital gown and on the crinkly paper, and the doctor talks to you and then talks to your parent, and then you're like, okay, yep, normal, okay, let's go. Except this time he was like, okay, so now we're gonna have to start talking about planning the surgery.